Whales are the undisputed heavyweights of the world's oceans, but centuries of commercial hunting drastically reduced their numbers. Now they face a myriad of other man-made threats. I head out to open ocean to find out why these gentle giants are facing such an uncertain future. Wildlife is under threat like never before. Man-made climate change, habitat loss, and illegal poaching are devastating the world's environments. We've lost half the animal species on the planet in the last 40 years, and all large marine life could become extinct by 2050. I'm Sean Lee-Davies, a photographer, filmmaker, and conservationist with a passion for adventure. I photographed some of Asia's most glamorous celebrities, and now I'm turning my camera on nature's true beauty. I'm out to showcase the glory of the natural world and raise critical awareness about poaching and exploitation. Join me on Adventures to the Edge. Whales were hunted to near extinction in the Industrial Revolution for their blubber, which was used as cheap oil. In particular, the larger species such as the blue, humpback, sperm, and northern right whales were heavily targeted. Their numbers plummeted. It was only in 1986 that large-scale commercial hunting was stopped.
Whereas historically, blue whales and other large whales faced these tremendous threats from commercial whaling, now they face a myriad of threats that often are harder to identify, harder to quantify.
Whales are still hunted to this day, but in restricted numbers, yet they face numerous other man-made threats, including entanglement, climate change, water pollution, and ship strikes. One of the best places to see whales is off the coast of California, near Monterey Bay, where over 6,000 square miles of ocean forms the largest national marine sanctuary in the USA.
The shape of Monterey Bay and the deep water canyon in the bay makes this a feeding ground. It's a very productive area that attracts a lot of different species. So we have everything from the small marine mammals like seals and sea lions all the way up to the biggest whales of all time, the blue whales.
I joined Kate to explore one of the greatest concentrations of marine mammals in the world.
We've just gotten to an area where there's a whole bunch of humpbacks spread around, and there happen to be 2 blue whales, and maybe there'll be more because there's an excellent layer of krill that I'm seeing on the sonar.
Whales visit Monterey's waters in the summer and autumn to feed on the abundant krill that congregates here. We see the telltale sign of a blowspout from a humpback whale. It's absolutely breathtaking. Our amazing whale watching moment gets interrupted with an emergency call.
More information, do you know A, what color floats, and B, what kind of boat I'm looking for?
A humpback whale has become entangled in crab pots, and we need to move fast.
So I just got a phone call about a new entanglement. It's about 4 miles away. We're the closest boat. I'm gonna go straight there.
We head at speed across the bay to try and locate the fisherman who is tracking the whale.
Yeah, we probably got trapped about, 30 miles north of here or something.
Got it? That's him. There he is.
This humpback has become entangled in crab pot nets. Fishing gear like this is a serious threat to whales, as the ropes and buoys prevent the marine mammal from diving and feeding. If the humpback can't free itself, it will slowly starve to death.
Fishing gear and entanglement in nets is a huge problem. Some of the estimates are horrific in terms of how many animals are entangled annually.
The disentanglement team arrived to assess how to free the distressed whale.
It sounded distressed. It was trumpeting. It was going every time it blew, and that's what they do when they're distressed.
The natural urge is to try and help and release the whale immediately, but humpbacks can weigh up to 36 tons, so trying to cut it free is a complicated, dangerous task which could take multiple attempts over many days. All we can do today is assess the whale's condition and be patient.
Next step is get a telemetry buoy on it so we can track it as we assemble the cut team.
We follow the whale for a few more hours.
When I was seeing two, one went down right about where I am, pointing east.
Remarkably, after a long struggle, this entangled whale is able to free itself. The humpback gives us a magnificent parting farewell. Today's entanglement may have ended with good fortune, but with hundreds and thousands of crab pots in the ocean, it's only a matter of time before another humpback is snagged.
So what we need to figure out is how we can manage the density of crab pots at the time when there's a lot of whales here.
To raise awareness about other dangers facing whale species around the world, I want to photograph these magnificent creatures underwater for my Love is Wild exhibition. So I'm heading for Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean, where a population of blue whales is known to congregate in the waters off the southern tip of the island. Stretching to a gargantuan 30 meters and weighing over 140 tons, the blue whale is the largest living creature to have lived on this planet. Even though they aren't hunted anymore and their numbers are slowly increasing, they now face a myriad of other man-made threats.
The major threats to the blue whales found in our waters is ships, because the ships, really the large container ships, traverse up and down right above their feeding grounds.
Much of the world's maritime trade passes off the coast of Sri Lanka, cutting straight through the blue whale's habitat. The risk of collision with these container ships can have fatal consequences for the whales. To photograph the whales up close, I board a charter boat in the fishing town of Marissa. Trying to find a whale out here without an airplane or helicopter is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's really vast. We're not far from port when we get reports of a sighting nearby.
Yeah, went to that side. They had some news. One whale's there, so they follow it.
All the crew are on the lookout for the slightest hint of a whale in the area. A small flotilla of whale-watching tour boats is a sign that there are whales nearby.
Oh, I see, right there.
But getting close enough to photograph them in the water with all these boats around is going to be impossible. For the whales, though, there are even bigger problems on the horizon. What is incredible to see is just how many big container ships are coming through this channel. It is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, and they're going right through where the whales are congregating. These ships come in and they literally skewer the whales as they're surfacing. With so much open ocean, it's incredible to think that ships and whales should be coming together with such disastrous results.
Sri Lanka as a nation, at the moment, we are trying to come up with certain proposals to get the shipping lane shifted at least about 5 nautical miles further out to sea. Because many of the ships that traverse up and down our waters do not really dock in one of our harbors.
If the international shipping industry can be persuaded to shift the sea lanes by a mere matter of miles, it would have a tremendous benefit to the whales here. Our quest to get close to the blue whales continues, but we're paid an unwelcome visit. We got held up by the Coast Guard because they said that our permit from the Wildlife Tourism Department wasn't sent to the Coast Guard. So we've had to send the small boat back to shore with one of our fixers to go and get the permit authorized. And that means that we're stuck here looking for whales, but even if we saw the whales, we wouldn't be able to dive because we're not allowed to get in the water. It's apparent our luck has run out. As the sun sets, there's nothing left but to call it a day and head back to shore. Join us in part 2 to see if our fortunes can change and bring us closer to the whales. I'm in Sri Lanka trying to photograph whales to raise awareness about the man-made threats that these gentle giants face around the world. My first foray to find the blue whales was brought to an abrupt end by armed Coast Guard, who intercepted our boat and escorted us back to shore. This is what's causing us the problem. Here is a certificate from the Department of Wildlife and Conservation in Sri Lanka stipulating that we can come here and dive with the whales. Now, according to the local authorities, at least the Coast Guard, that permission has been rescinded, so it's no longer valid. Until we resolve this issue, we're stuck here in Marissa doing nothing, waiting and waiting and waiting. After assurances that the situation has been fixed, we head back to the boat. But the Coast Guard has turned up in full force to prevent us from heading back out. Bristling with machine guns, it's clear they mean business. I've had a series of threats made to me over the last few days. Somebody, somewhere, doesn't want us to go out there with the whales. The Coast Guard officer is resolute, and my crew is ordered off the boat. My chances of seeing any whales here are over. There we go. We came, we saw, we failed. Unfortunately, we've been run out of Marissa by the Coast Guard here, so we're going to have to go further north to Kalpitia, which is on the northwest coast of the island, and we've been told by inside sources there that we can get closer to the whales, and hopefully we'll have better luck. While blue whales are unlikely to venture so far north at this time of the year, it's an area known for large congregations of sperm whales. Unlike blue whales, sperm whales have teeth like dolphins and typically feed on squid and cuttlefish, which are the main catch of the fishing community here. My crew get ready to head out, albeit on much smaller boats with little cover from the sun. We're joined by local marine researcher Howard Martenstein. To find the whale, it's vital that everyone keeps a lookout for the blowspout that whales make when they surface for air. But it's incredibly hot out at sea, with the water temperature reaching an unbelievable 34 degrees centigrade, nearly 2 degrees above the average here. We reach one of Howard's hotspots for recent whale sightings. We cut the engine and wait. Howard, it's absolutely flat as a pancake out here, but it's so quiet. That's what really freaks me out.
It's like we have entered a ghost town.
Yeah.
I didn't see a single baitfish. I haven't seen a single seabird feeding. I haven't seen a flying fish.
Which means nothing's here.
Nothing's happening.
No sightings here, Clearly, the extremely high temperature is having an effect on marine life. We head north to try our luck, but as the day wears on, I begin to feel that we're never going to see a whale. We stop at a well-known dive spot called Bar Reef to see what effect rising water temperatures are having on the coral. It's a very sad sight. All around are the telltale signs of coral bleaching. The Bar Reef is one of the largest coral reefs in Southeast Asia, and I was really looking forward to it. Apart from the bad visibility which is caused by the swell, the undercurrents, it's shocking to see how much of this reef has actually been bleached. And in many respects, it's a dying reef.
I think one of the biggest threats that we face long term for all marine mammals is climate change. We've seen pretty dramatic changes occurring in Arctic waters now, but that has potential to affect whales much more globally and throughout their habitats.
As the day draws to a close, I still haven't seen a whale, and I'm beginning to think I may be jinxed. After dinner, Howard outlines how he plans to find the whales tomorrow.
We study all the sightings.
Yeah.
As you can see here, the dots are all sperm whale sightings in March, April. So if I'm going to be in one vessel and I'm going to take a transect in the sea, then I'm going to go along this green line.
Yeah.
Take the average and go.
And if there is a whale there?
If there's a whale, you have an 80% chance of finding the sperm whales.
If they're there?
If they're there.
Dawn breaks and it's our last day on the water. We only have a few more hours on the oceans to get what we need. I just hope that today we have better conditions and that we're going to get what we came in to see. A whale in the water. Armed with a new strategy, we head out to follow a path of Howard's most recent sightings. The boatman hollers out. There's a water spout in the distance. It's a sperm whale calmly resting on the surface. I need to move quick before the whale dives again. But there's a problem with my oxygen tank. Everything is going wrong. We ditch the scuba gear and jump into a kayak to try and get close enough. But we're too late. As we pull up alongside, it dives for the deep. We're unlikely to see that whale again very soon. Sperm whales can dive as deep as 3,000 meters in search of their prey and can hold their breath for up to 2 hours. Luckily for me, there are other whales in the pod, so I'll get another chance to photograph them, as long as I can reach them. This time, my dive team will join me as I attempt to free dive with the whale to get as close as possible.
Right, stop. Go. Swim to your right. Swim to your right.
Before we get a chance to organize ourselves, the second whale dives. It's exhausting work, but we're not going to give up just yet. Howard once more positions the boat as close as he can.
Get to a 45-degree angle, okay? Then you have to go. You follow me?
Yeah.
You want it to be right behind it.
It may not look far, but the strong sea current makes it very difficult to get close. but when we do, it's an awe-inspiring sight. And like that, it's gone.
Guys, it's gonna rain.
We have time for one more? Let's do one more.
I saw lightning.
In the distance, the last sperm whale descends to the deep, and with it, my time on the water here has come to an end. Being out here in the oceans reminds you of just how fragile the ecosystem really is and how our actions can really make a dent in the fortunes of the marine mammals that live here.
Even as we've advanced, our sense of conservation and our awareness of it, in many ways some of our impacts have become more global and more widespread. Shipping traffic has increased, our population keeps growing. That affects and has the potential to affect whales even as we become more conservation minded.
Come to Sri Lanka and look at the whales and dolphins because it's an awe-inspiring experience, something that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And so that you will go back and do whatever you can to help conservation in all aspects.
I didn't quite get the photos I was after, but sometimes it's better just to look on and revel in nature's awesome beauty. Next week on Adventures to the Edge, I'm back on terra firma to learn about the dangers facing orangutans as their habitats are being destroyed to make way for the palm oil industry.